Hey everybody, this is your Right Geek, honorary Man King, and leader of the Awkward Cop Squad, here with another video. I apologize, first of all, for not having a video last week, but unfortunately last week, right around the time I would be making a video, I had to help Mom with a small medical emergency. Fortunately, Mama Geek is a-okay now. It was just a minor thing that they were able to resolve. Um, and so far, all is well. This week, since this week was kind of a dead week when it comes to new comics, at least for me, what I'm going to do today is talk about a couple of older things that I decided to read this week. And both of these, by the way, are recommends. They are books that I actually enjoyed. And I'm going to talk about the reasons why I enjoyed both of these in this video. So here's my comiXology again. Yes, I did read some Jason Aaron Adventures this week. Please don't judge me. But today I actually want to talk about these two books right here. We have Iron Man Noir, and then Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes. So let's start first with Iron Man Noir. If you follow me on Twitter, you probably saw me post one little tweet expressing excitement about this one. Basically, this is kind of an Elseworlds version of Iron Man that is set in the late 30s. The creative team here is Snyder and Garcia, and this alternate universe version of Tony Stark, this sort of noir 1930s version of Tony Stark, he kind of has an Indiana Jones sort of vibe to him, because his deal is that he goes on these adventures to find these unusual artifacts. And yeah, so Scott Snyder, Manuel Garcia, those are the writer and the penciler, Ruggiero, Marta Martinez, and so on. So we have a sort of Indiana Jones version of Tony, who goes off to these strange corners of the globe to find these kind of magic artifacts. And what we find out as the story goes on in this 4-issue miniseries, essentially, is that he kind of has a motive beyond just pure adventure. And his motive is he is trying to find something that will address the fact that his heart is steadily failing, and will one day fail completely. So he's looking for things that might, in fact, cure that condition that he has. So we have that kind of interesting motivation. As we've talked about in previous streams, when you're thinking of a good character, you want to think of the kind of basic Babylon 5 questions. Who am I, and what do I want? Well, this version of Tony Stark has a very clear motivation. What do I want? I want to find, not only do I want to find adventure, but I want to find something that will eventually cure the heart condition that I have. So as you can see, they kept the sort of heart condition aspect of Tony Stark in this version of Tony Stark. And it gives you an undercurrent of kind of desperation on Tony's part, because if he cannot find something that will aid him in his quest, then eventually he's going to die. He's basically on the brink of death when this story starts. So as you can see, they went with sort of that kind of old style sepia tone, which works for the style of story that we're telling here in the art. And a lot of the art actually is pretty good. And you can see that kind of like other versions of Tony Stark, he's dashing. Uh, he he's got a thing for the ladies. Let's put it that way. Kind of like other versions of Tony Stark. So they do keep some of like the basic aspects of Tony Stark, but they just transplant him into this new circumstance. So that's fun. It's always fun to see like the baseline character be planted into another circumstance. That's one of the reasons why I enjoyed 1872 so much, which I talked about on the birthday stream. That again took the basic Tony Stark concept and just reimagined him in a different context, and it actually turned out to be um, quite emotionally resonant, at least for me. So this one also had several what I would call emotionally resonant moments, and the first, of course, is the fact that in the first issue, let's skip ahead a little bit. In the first issue, he gets betrayed. And he gets betrayed by the woman that he was seeing, which is also a very typical Tony Stark thing. And meanwhile, as you can see back here, the guy who was chronicling his adventures for a men's adventures magazine gets killed on this particular quest here for this magic mask. This right here has kind of an Indries vibe uh, here, in the sense that, and you don't, my dear, Tony Stark, brave adventurer, but I've been there in the middle of the night, haven't I? So, kind of like Indries in the 6th and 6. This chick, uh, feels that she uses Tony's secret weaknesses against him. So, yeah, that's pretty textbook Tony Stark right there. I know better because deep down you're just a scared little boy. Uh, wow, that's a pretty good you bitch moment right there. Um, some other interesting things. Since this mission goes incredibly wrong in the first issue, when you get to the second issue, let's page ahead. Is this where we are? When we get to the second issue of this, um, we have the scene where Tony feels guilty about his kind of chronicler was killed in this, and he comes under some criticism because as the end of his life draws nearer, he's become more and more reckless, and that has put people uh, that he cares for in danger. And and we have Namor is kind of a pirate that works with him, and and Pepper Potts comes into this story in the second issue. She is a writer for a men's adventures magazine who writes under a pseudonym. So that's kind of an interesting way to fit Pepper into the narrative here. Um, let me see if I can find that one scene that I'm talking about here. he basically has this moment where he says, "I've been selfish," which was it was a terrific moment of typical Tony Stark self-loathing, which I always enjoy. Maybe it's this page if Comixology can catch up to me here. Um, yeah, so as you can see, it's visually it's pretty appealing, and the whole concept, the sort of Indiana Jones adventure concept, it's not a bad concept. I enjoyed reading it. Um, if we can just get to the end here so that I can show you what really excited me. Um, come on, Comixology, don't fail me now. Come on. Yeah, this one right here. You owe me a new boat, Stark. You nearly killed us all with that stunt of yours. And he's really weak because the charge on his heart's really low. And he says it's my fault. And he passes out basically. And when he wakes up, oh, this is a dream about his father. And his father actually turns out to be they actually the Nazis actually had brainwashed his father in this timeline. So that's kind of an interesting element there. It's not that's rather different from the usual Tony Stark narrative, which in which Howard Stark ranges from kind of a distant workaholic, which is sort of the MCU version of him, to in the 616, he's basically an abusive putz. I should talk about that in future issues because in future videos because the comics have some really uh, quite disturbing and problematic Howard Stark scenes that are worthy of discussion. This one actually, in this timeline, the relationship was actually pretty good until he apparently dies. But then we find out later that the Nazis have taken him. So Tony wakes up and he's plugged in because his heart basically almost completely gave out. And yeah, this is the part I was talking about. What a selfish bastard I am, Rhodey. I love that. That's very that's very true to the whole Tony Stark. Remember what my father used to say whenever someone called him a hero at some benefit or award ceremony? I remember. Say it, will you? A hero is a man too frightened to run away. And yet, that's what I've been doing my whole life, isn't it? Running away. For years, I fooled myself into believing that I am the hero described in the magazines, fearless and daring, someone who undertakes these spectacular adventures for the readers as much as myself, to give them an escape, a much-needed diversion. But the truth is that I don't give a damn about an escape for anyone but myself. I haven't for a long time, haven't I? I'm dragging other people into it, too. You, Virgil, all I've been after is a cure, a fix for this blasted thing. This is kind of like the core emotional moment here. So tell me, Rhodey, how do you do it? How do you risk your life for a coward like me over and over again? May I speak freely, sir? Of course. Frankly, Tony, I can't anymore. I put in for a transfer with Jarvis a few months back, and 2 weeks ago he found me something in the hospitality division of the Paris arm. Paris? You're kidding. I told myself I should be happy with this. I have a good life. I'm lucky. But it rubs off on me, Tony, the fear. I can't have that. It used to be different, though. Don't convince yourself it didn't. I'm talking about a long time ago, before your heart was this bad. But still. When I first started with you on that trip, to the Andes in 29, or the dig in Jordan. Remember that? I'm still picking the sand out of my teeth. We did have some times. You were a truly furious son of a bitch back then, Tony Stark. It was inspiring to be around, made me brave. And to make a man brave in times like these, especially a man my hue, that's something that's heroic. So uh, that's probably my favorite, one of my favorite scenes in this. It basically shows that he has this, while he has this motivation that is making him more reckless and uh, more dangerous to the people around him. This scene basically brings us back to, but you have this core of heroism in you, and you just need to return to that. You need to find that core inside of yourself and become the man that you meant to be. And that's basically the emotional arc of all four of these issues, because by the end of the story, uh, he gets his armor, and let me show you what the armor looks like because it's pretty dope. Hopefully, Comixology won't take too long to load it. Come on. Yeah, it's kind of this gray. It's got kind of this gray. It's sort of like the fellas that watch this channel usually have seen images of the 1872 armor. This is kind of like an intermediate stage between that and the more standard 616 armors. But it's pretty boss. And this is cool right here. That's a good panel right there. And what's going on here is Tony's repulsor power is down to basically nothing. But he goes back because he knows that he can't let the Nazis have the trident that they took from him. Oh yeah, by the way, this is Tony being a big fat liar. Repulsor power level 10%. And then he says to Jarvis, I'm fine. I've got at least 18% left. I'm going after the trident and Strucker. Anthony will die. So yeah, Tony Stark, big fat liar. That's pretty typical for him too. This is pretty dope right here. Pretty dynamic. Power level 9%. So we have this kind of climactic sequence here where he's diving into the midst of these Nazi troops here with the Nazi airships and all that, so he can get the trident back. And basically what happens is as he's going through this fight, see that? Wait, let me go back. See? That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. Anyway, so he ends up running his power level all the way down. He runs his power level all the way down to 0, fighting these Nazis here. So he basically does the typical Tony Stark thing and essentially sacrifices himself to keep this powerful trident out of Nazi hands. So that's a pretty boss ending, I would say. And well, I would classify this entire thing as basically another version of the Iron Man origin story, because up until this moment, He was really an adventurer, kind of out for his own kicks, essentially. My boy, what are you going to do? Kill us all? Kill yourself? Your own father? My father died a long time ago, and he died a hero. That's pretty dope. Um, this is really cool right here. This has got some cool art in it, and there he is, repulsor power level 0. So he's basically dead at this point, and he's sinking into the ocean. But then Namor's sub picks him up. And Namor's like, he still owes me a damn boat. And then he decides at the end, on the record, you're retiring as the hero Tony Stark Adventures. Boys, if this last venture has taught me anything, it's that there are more important things to attend to in the world right now than looking for magical trinkets. Times are hard at home and dangerous abroad. And I think that maybe... You're not getting political on us now, are you, Tony? Say it ain't so. Tony Stark, a bleeding heart? All right. Let the man rust his bones. Sigh, writers, vultures, run it all. You said it, not me. So you were saying about becoming a bleeding heart? On the record? Always. Well, maybe I am getting stopped. I don't know. Right now, maybe we need some men, good men, who engage the world, not just escape it. Nicely put, sir. Now, if you'll excuse me for a minute, friends, I have a call to make. Some general, name of Furry or Flurry, phoned about some lunatic carrying on in Latveria. So I suppose our little conversation about heroes will have to be continued. So he decides at the end that he's going to contribute to the world as a hero and face off the things like the Nazi menace or this menace in Latveria. And the fact that it ended like this is the reason why on Twitter I said, no, why is there only 4 issues? Because I could totally see this continuing with this version of Tony Stark and this dope version of the armor fighting Nazis in World War II. And, maybe he could beat up with Cap along the way, the World War II era of Cap and join this timeline's version of the Invaders and stuff like that. That would be freaking awesome. And I'm really mad that they did not continue this. Like 1872, I think this deserved more canon. It deserved a continuation because, again, this version of Tony Stark, like 1872, it's an interesting, different sort of Elseworlds take that still retains a lot of the things that I enjoy about Tony Stark as a character in general. And I would have loved to have seen what they would have done with this concept if they had kind of carried him into World War II. That would have been awesome. So I'm a little sad that they kind of, after the first 4 issues, they kind of abandoned the whole idea because it was pretty awesome. The other book I wanted to recommend today was this one. This one right here, if Comixology can load it for me. This one right here was basically a reimagining of it's kind of the background scenes or the missing scenes, so to speak, of the first several issues of the Avengers. And I honestly really enjoyed this. So we have Joe Casey and Scott Collins for writing and art. And the writing in this, I think, is really top notch. And what I particularly enjoyed about this book is the fact that Joe Casey theorized that Tony Stark, as one of the founding members of the Avengers, he actually spent a lot of his time being the liaison between the Avengers and the government. So we have several really interesting, really well written scenes in here, in which Tony is basically trying to convince the government to let the Avengers do their avenging without getting in the way or interfering. And it really, I love it because it really portrays Tony Stark as the competent and dedicated team member that he actually was in his OG iteration. There's a tendency, I think, in a lot of the modern writers to overemphasize the moments in his history when he went off on his own to do his own thing and kind of abandon the team, and not enough emphasis on the fact that many times when he was with the team, he was in fact a perfect team player. And so this particular book, which is the missing scenes of the founding of the team, shows the more team player aspect of Tony Stark in the early history of the Avengers, and that's why I enjoyed this one. So if you want to see if the idea of several scenes of Tony Stark bickering with government officials to enable the Avengers to have the freedom to do their superheroing, if that appeals to you, this might be something that will be interesting to you. It was definitely interesting to me. I found it a rather illuminating read. So that is Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes. So those are my 2 recommendations for this week. These are older books, but they are still worth picking up, as most older books are. And if you have read either one of these miniseries, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. This week, I noticed in the publication schedule that the last issue of Iron Man 2020 is coming out on Wednesday. So next week we're probably going to be talking about that. Next week will probably be the "Yay! This torture is finally over" video, and then there might be some more expressions of my hope that what's coming in September, the new Iron Man series that's coming in September, will actually be a little more true to the sort of original concept of Tony Stark, and that it will actually be good, because in my opinion, sadly, there really hasn't been a good Iron Man run, a consistently good Iron Man run since before Fraction. And some of Fraction's stuff was good, but then some of Fraction's stuff was like, I'm not feeling it. So, and then after that, it was just a lot of trash. So, really, next Sunday, it is going to be the "Yay! Dan Slott's torture is finally over. Now we can move on to something potentially better. Oh, please, oh, please, oh, please, God, let this new Iron Man series be better." So I will talk to you then. Please leave any comments below if you want to comment on the 2 books I talked about today. And I thank you for listening. The Right Geek out.